People of Earth, give hope.
Give hope. We play, Gig Hose. Well, hello everybody. What are we, Marla Jo? We are
The
Gig
Hose.
Hose. I'm Willa.
I'm Marla, and guess who's here today?
Who's here today?
This fabulous drummer, Ricky Martinez.
That's right, Ricky Martinez.
Thank you.
Who's amazing. Anybody that lives in the tri-state area probably has heard of a band he plays in called Wondrous Stories. It's just an amazing, amazing cover band. They'll play an entire album. They'll do the entire Dark Side of the Moon. They're just great. But he's done a lot of other things too, which I just learned about. He was the drummer for Sesame Street for 17 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was great fun.
Yeah, I bet. And we were talking about Bob Cranshaw, who was the bass player for that.
Bob was wonderful. He was really a mentor because I show up and here I am, a kid surrounded by these incredible professionals. And one of them, Glenn Drews on trumpet, which you
Glenn,
may know.
Sure.
Glenn was wonderful. Wally Kane on saxophone.
Yeah.
And Jim Mitchell on guitar.
But also you did other stuff on TV I didn't know about. A claymation show called Bump in the Night.
Bump in the Night was great fun.
What was that about?
It was actually a group of monsters that lived under a little boy's bed.
Oh, perfect.
And so he'd go to sleep, and then the adventure would begin. And there was Mr. Bumpy, who was crazy.
Go figure.
And he had a best friend named Squishy. And they had...
Wait, let me guess. He was Squishy.
He was Squishy. Yeah. And then there was the Molly Coddle, who was the comfort doll. And she was actually the little boy's sister's doll. But Molly would go to the little boy's room to hang out with Mr. Bumpy and Squishy.
Marla and I know all about that, right?
We do?
Going to hang out with the guys. Yeah, because that's...
Oh, yeah, in that
I mean,
respect.
wasn't that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, were we not the only women on the bandstand quite often?
I used to tell the guys, don't worry, I'm one of the guys. I'm one of the boys. It's okay, you know.
I know.
I mean, you know, I've heard things.
You can name names.
Well, yeah, I have to respect the dead, so I won't.
Yeah, okay. And then... Oh, yeah, and then this says you went, I love the name of this, you were on the Hippie Fest tour?
The Hippie Fest tour,
That's so great.
Right.
With Rick Derringer, Dave Mason, Felix Cavalieri, Mark Farner, and Gary White.
That's him.
Yeah.
That's him.
That's so great. And finally, you have two new bands that you're kind of just launching now, too. And one is called Section 12.
Section 12.
That's the fun party cover band. Mm-hmm. And then another band called The Incredible AM FM Time Machine.
Right.
So, busy boy. And not to mention, of course, the staple of all our lives, Club dates.
Club dates!
Club dates.
Right. So, Ricky...
Never not club dates, because we wouldn't be sitting in this house without club dates.
That's right.
No, I'm totally
true.
not
That's
knocking
true.
club dates.
No, I know. I mean, but...
This whole podcast, for instance, is all about club dates.
Of course.
That's right.
I mean, I always just like to say, hey, at least us musicians had a way to make a living.
That's right.
As
Absolutely.
like the actors didn't do weddings on the weekends.
That's right.
You
There's no club dates for actors.
There's no
I
club
guess.
dates for
I
actors.
know.
Yeah.
But I will say this. My osteopath has a club date thing.
That's funny. The first wedding band I was in, the bass player was an osteopath.
So good. I know. I was in a band. It was a cover band. And all the players were mega professionals. One was a lawyer, and one was a doctor, and one was literally... You know how you say it's not brain surgery? Right. One of them was a brain surgeon, the bass player. Yeah.
That's great.
Unbelievable.
I just want to interject.
Yeah.
I was on hold with Morgan Stanley. I had to talk to somebody. And it says, okay, please listen to music made by our employees.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Everybody's a friggin' musician.
Everybody.
And it was terrible.
Well, it was terrible. My God. I had done this gig with the late, lovely Jerry Solomon, if you know Jerry. He was a wonderful bass player.
I don't think I know him.
Passed away some years ago. Sweetheart of a guy. Brilliant. He was just like one of these closet geniuses. So anyway, we're doing this gig in D.C. and at the Four Seasons Hotel. And the gig is over. Jerry says, let's get out of here, go to a bar. So we go to this bar, and we're sitting there, and there's a jazz band playing. And so, we're drinking some beers, and all of a sudden, Jerry turns to me and goes, they're lawyers. I'm sure they were. They had this look on their faces like, we're sorry, we're doing our best.
Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, my osteopath, his side hustle, his club date is he officiates at MMA tournaments on weekends.
Wow.
Because they legally need to have a certified doctor there.
Right.
And an ambulance. This is what I learned.
What does MMA stand for? I'm sorry.
Mixed martial arts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the octagon. Guys beating themselves to a pulp. And women, too.
Yeah. And the broken noses one.
Yes.
He told me one guy thought he was blind for a couple of minutes.
Oh, my God.
But it's weird because I see you, Ricky. I say, how'd your weekend go? I see my osteopath. We're talking about our gigs, right? He had a gig. I had a gig. On my gig, I had to sing it last. On his gig, he had to set a broken nose. And,
Exactly.
But it's his version of club dates.
That's it.
Yeah.
You should tell him you adjusted somebody on the gig, You're doing what he's doing.
That's right.
True.
That'd be
That's
great.
true.
All right, so let's begin here. Can you tell me the first gig that you remember that you got paid for?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Yes. I was actually in high school, and there was a battle of the bands.
Ooh.
And my band was the only band that showed up. So we won.
That's awesome.
A woman comes over to us and says, well, no one else is here, so you win. Here's $50.
Did you play?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we played a bunch of Kiss songs.
Wow. So I know you brought some stories along.
Yeah, actually, I
What
thought
do
of
you
one
got?
while we were just talking. There's a quick one I wanted to mention because he's a lovely guy. It was with Rick Derringer, and we're on tour, and we're having dinner, and the band and the crew were all together.
Is this during the Hippie Fest?
Yes,
tour?
this is during the Hippie Fest tour. And Rick is religious, and he always has a Bible with him.
Oh, my God, really?
And so we all get our food, and we go to the tables, and there's 3 or 4 tables. I wind up sitting next to Rick. And so I assume he's going to say grace.
Right.
So I just put my hands in my lap, and I wait. And everyone else sort of gets quiet and realizes, oh, we should wait for Rick. And then Rick realizes, oh, they're waiting for me.
Yeah.
So he picks up the Bible, stands up, and he says, Jesus, God bless these food and these people. God bless you all. Wham! And he thumps the Bible, and we went, yeah! We all started eating.
What? But he was kidding, right? I mean,
No, but he's really religious.
No, I understand that, but I mean, did he get into a religious fervor, or was he sort of hamming it up for the crowd?
I don't know. Who knows? But
Wow.
it was wonderful.
Wow.
We loved it. But that was a great tour.
All right, so do you have any stories in there that are
Yes.
sort of near the beginning of your club date career?
Well, that's interesting. The beginning of the club date
I
career.
like to go chronologically. I have issues.
See, I didn't know that. I took
have
a bunch
issues
of
with
notes and I just
control.
wrote things down,
Well, no, you can say whatever you like, honestly.
I tell you one that this was a very, very funny one because I learned what the word machitza means, the divider between men and women.
Yes.
So this is, years ago.
Are you going to explain this, or do I need to tell the audience? You can explain what it is.
Okay, in a religious Jewish event, there will be a wall, sometimes permanent, sometimes temporary, usually temporary for the party, that separates the men and the women while they are dancing.
Yes.
So, do you want to tell them why?
Well, I suppose it's the same reason they don't want women singing on religious because they don't want the men to be tempted by the women dancing. Is that
Probably.
pretty
Exactly.
it?
That's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, me and the rest of the people in the band, and we happen to have a female bass player, who you may know, Elisa Sunshine.
Yes,
was
we
the bass
told
player.
that famous story about her where she had to be behind the screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Elisa's there sitting next to me, and we're just waiting for the event to begin. And all of a sudden, the caterer brings out this mechitza, the temporary wall. Someone from the other side says, in Hebrew, blah, 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 mechitza. And the caterer says, yes, mechitza. And the other guy says, no, mechitza. He says, yes, mechitza. And the caterer's like, his attitude is, you're not paying, get out of my way. And he pulls the wall, and the guy goes, wham! And I said, oh my God, never seen anything like this. And the caterer takes off his jacket, and kaput! pow.
So they're hitting each other.
They're hitting each other.
Oh no!
It's
All
like
in
a
the name
movie.
of religion.
Yeah.
They're really going at it now. Like both sides of the family are pouring out, and trying to tear them apart.
Holy crap!
And we're thinking, oh no, oh my God, like what's happening? And I hear Elisa say, Mejitza comes out, Elisa goes home.
So true.
And so
true.
they took away the Mejitza, and then it was kind of quiet for a while. And then they brought up...
Were they dancing? I mean, did you play?
No,
music?
not that. This had yet to start. This was the pre-show.
Right. So the gig hadn't even started.
Gig hadn't even started. And then they bring out these tall potted plants. And that was the Mejitza. That was the compromise. So they have this row of about a half dozen potted plants,
That's great.
I love how everyone's religion has like certain, this is as far as we'll go. A potted plant is okay.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
That is amazing. Well, in terms of how cultures celebrate differently, right? We did a Bukharian wedding ceremony at one of those giant marble and glass kind of places in Woodside on a roof with like AstroTurf on it. And it sounded good already, right?
Yes.
Super hot, 95 degrees at night.
Oh, God.
They're all dressed to the nines. The women are in giant glittery gowns. The men have enough Brill cream in their hair to, anyway. So there was a DJ and there was the band, right? And they had 5 of us in the band sitting on the side. And then the DJ was up on the altar there with the bridal party, right? And he was also officiating. We were there for the bride's side. He was there for the groom's side. I've never seen this before. So we were going to play music for the bride's side when they came up, but the groom's side came up first, and that was the DJ's thing. And he starts with the disco beat, right? Bum ba da 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 bum, right? And louder than the voice of God, And here comes Grandma. Let's give a round of applause for Grandma. Bum da da bum da da bum da da bum. And these giant sparklers 8 feet high are going up on either side of the aisle while Grandma's dancing down the aisle, right? And they're doing all this stuff. And then it's our turn, and we're like playing our little and he's still loud, like this.
Oh my God.
Then the groom gets up there, and he puts his arm around the groom, the DJ, and the music's still going bum ba da bum ba da. I love the look on your face, Marla. It's great. Bum ba da bum. Hey, Schlachem, how do you feel? You feeling good? You're ready to see your bride? It's like, let's make a deal or something, right? And then the little kids, the flower girl and the ring bearer, they are in a little mini Mercedes. And they're driving down the runway with the 8-foot-high sparklers going like this. And a bum, da da bum, da da bum. And then the bride comes down. Same thing. Bum, da da bum, da da bum. It's just like the nuttiest thing I ever saw in my life. And then, weeks later, I went to the dentist, and it was a young Indian woman, right? And I tell her about this. She goes, oh, yeah, we do that in India all the time. So everybody's got their own way of, All right, so where were we? You had some notes.
Oh, yes, I had some...
All right, so which one are you going to tell us? You're going to tell us your funniest one? What category you think this one comes in?
Here's a short one. Okay. So this is with, what did you call it? Schmank Spain?
Flank stain.
Flank stain.
Flank stain.
So this is this huge flank steak. This huge expensive bar mitzvah.
Of
It was
course.
like money was no object. It's just unbelievable amounts of stuff. And so they had this bandstand that had 3 levels.
Oh, I love
so
this.
I'm on the drums, way up in the back.
Of course you are.
And I'm looking up over, like, what's happening in the front. And there's the bar mitzvah kid, and there's a cake that has like 1,000 candles on it.
Oh, God.
I said, what is going on? And the kid apparently, he was an athlete, so there's all these little figures on it,
Right.
and they have candles on them. Well, they start calling up family members.
Right.
Grandma Yetta, Grandpa Yetta, the other one, the other one.
Let me explain to the audience who doesn't know. The thing with the bar mitzvah cake is each family member is going to come and light one of those candles on the cake. Okay.
And they take a picture, and so they begin to light candles, and they're lighting candles. And something in my head goes, uh-oh. And gradually, it turns into a blaze. And the kid is just staring at the cake. And he turns to the band leader, and he just says, so quietly, cake's on fire. And everybody goes, and he's just standing there. Cake's on fire.
It's supposed to be only 14 candles, but they had to be excessive just because they had the money for more candles.
Yeah.
More family members.
Exactly. I love that one. Cake's on fire.
That's good.
Cake's on fire.
I had
wonderful.
the flaming guest.
You had a flaming guest?
Flaming guest, yeah. Yeah, it was at the Crest Hollow Country Club, when we played there, and there were parties in every room. And they would bring out the Viennese table. We always played, later we played Disco Inferno.
Of course.
Because the Viennese table audience always had a lot of sparklers on it.
Right.
And I was always, I like to eat, so especially sugar. And my brother, when he was the band leader, he would always say, ladies and gentlemen, follow Willa to the Viennese table. Because as soon as we stopped playing, I was out. I was moving for the Zeppelis. But before we played Disco Inferno, we were playing Song of the Flame. You know Song of the Flame?
Yeah.
Fast too. Da 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 da.
Yes.
So we're playing Song of the Flame. They're rolling in the tables. One of the tables, they're all collapsible tables, and the legs on one of them collapses and the table goes on a tilt. And there's all these cans of Sterno. Sterno, audience, for those of you who don't know, is this little pots of like petroleum or something.
Yes.
And you can light them on fire, and then you can keep your hot desserts hot. One of these cans of Sterno goes flying and hits a guest who was wearing a purple velvet jacket. It hit him on the back and set his jacket on fire. And we're playing. And he's on fire. And Dave Barrett was the band leader. Guy was like a high school teacher and kind of a big burly guy. He tackles the guy immediately, runs off the bandstand, tackles the guy, rolls him around on the floor, right? And we're still playing. Right? And he puts the guy out. He puts the fire out. And then the band leader, Sly Kogan, he goes to Pat, hit the cymbal. He goes, right? And Sly goes, ladies and gentlemen, how about that Dave Barrett? Right?
That's
Song of the
great.
Flaming Jackets.
That is great.
And forever after in our brains, that was the flaming guest.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
Can you top that, Ricky?
I know, really. Oh, well, I don't know if I can top that.
Yeah, but
I shouldn't say that.
No, you
That'll
should.
get us in
Say it.
trouble.
Say it. Say it.
It'll get us
Just
in
That's all right. I'll
Disguise it.
cut it out if it's too
Disguise
bad.
it.
Okay, so doing this very high-end wedding. Very high-end.
Okay.
And the guests were all celebrities. And completely recognizable people.
Were they like music biz celebrities?
actor
Actor celebrities?
across the board,
Okay.
from politics to business to, but everybody was a familiar face.
Wow.
TV, film people. This is high-end event.
Okay.
Well, apparently, someone in the family was.
So this is like a wedding?
Yes, this is a wedding. Someone in the family supports this particular bird.
Okay.
An Arctic bird. And they wrote a poem for this Arctic bird. Anyway, they go up to the microphone and they do this. Every person at the event is puffing their mouth, looking away, trying so hard to take this seriously
Oh my God.
and not break into laughter.
This guy was serious?
They are serious. And and we're all just sitting there. And the band leader says, play! We start to play.
Do you remember what song?
I was
Do you
just
remember
thinking Freebird.
Freebird. Oh my God.
It's like, what could you play at that
We
moment?
started to play. And
See, this is why you get
just
the
like-
big money, Marla, because you're always thinking.
Always thinking.
and then finally we get a break. And I'm walking down the corridor. I say, where's the restroom? They go, just down there. And as I'm walking, I see this incredibly statuesque woman come past me. And I look up at her, and I realize it's Dr. Crusher from Star Trek. And I went, oh! And she went, oh no, a Trekkie. And she just took off.
Gates McFadden.
Gates McFadden,
Yes. Wow. Was she as beautiful in person?
Oh, yes.
Yes, she's quite beautiful.
Yeah.
They brought her back in Picard.
Yes, I saw. Are you kidding? I'm a Trekkie.
I know, me too.
I've seen all the Star Trek.
How is it that none of us, and I'm assuming you haven't either, how is it that none of us have ever played a Star Trek themed wedding? How is that possible?
That's true.
Maybe bar mitzvahs.
I haven't played a Star Trek themed bar mitzvah
Although,
either. Yes.
one wedding I did, we actually played the theme to TNG. That was great.
Really?
Because whoever prepared the charts did a fabulous job.
Oh, wow.
The bride and groom came into the room and went, ba, 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 and it was great.
TNG, for anyone that isn't a Trekkie, is The Next Generation. It's one with Patrick Stewart, also known as Jean-Luc Picard, also known as, in my lexicon, Captain Daddy. So do you have in there, because one thing I always wonder about is the club date that was so humiliating that you wish you could forget it?
Oh, God.
See, I didn't write that one down. Huh?
No.
He's trying to forget
I
it.
do have one. I'm trying to forget it, really. I do have one that was very strange. Like,
yes?
we thought the party was over.
And
So what happens is the bar mitzvah mom is a micromanager, and she's trying to control every moment of everyone's life. Even the guests, everybody's like, what is going on? No, the fork goes here, and no, you should look like this, and the waiter should stand straight, and the band is like... And
Don't you hate that? They have an illusion of
Yes.
what the party should be.
Absolutely. And her husband is like trying to calm her down, and she's getting crazier and crazier and crazier.
Wow.
And her husband offers her a glass of wine, and he says, drink the wine, please sit down, drink the wine. And she's getting upset, and she's in the middle of the dance floor, and she says, no, no, no. And the wine is spilling. She slips, kabam! She falls on her arm and breaks her wrist.
oh my God! Wait, did she spilled the wine and then
she slipped
spill
on
the
the
wine?
Exactly.
Break that wrist.
Exactly. Wham! She just went down.
Wow.
She broke her wrist. An ambulance comes. They reel in a gurney. These guys pick her up and they put her on the gurney, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm ruined."
And then
they're
everyone
reeling-
had a great time after.
And the husband turns around and he says, "Party continues!" And he turns to the band, "Music, make it happen!" And we started to play, and it turned into a great party.
Wow.
I got to think of the appropriate song at that moment.
Yeah,
too.
celebration. Certainly.
Celebration.
Celebration.
How can I miss you when you won't go away?
That's true.
The bitch is gone.
There was one where the band got chastised by the guests. This
guests?
was wild, yeah.
Multiple guests?
Yeah. Like half the family came from Nebraska.
Oh.
And so they say, you have to do the chicken dance. You have to do the chicken dance.
In Nebraska.
Right.
Right.
And they were like, come on, make it happen. We start to play the chicken dance. And, there's the two parts to it.
Right.
Exactly. It's the chicken part. Right. They stopped and stared at us.
They
and
didn't
said,
know the other part.
"What are you doing?"
This is the New York chicken dance.
Right. Well, what happened is
That's tough chicken.
they said you're doing it wrong.
Oh my God.
And the band leader said, "But this is the way we know it." They threw their eyes to the sky and
The
New
Nebraskans.
York.
The Nebraskans.
And the Nebraskans said, "Fine, just do it your way." And they were so unhappy.
Wow.
And later on, I learned that the way they did it in Nebraska was they would do the chicken part slow, da 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 da, but then the polka is always fast, da 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 da, and the chicken part gradually speeds up to meet the polka.
And these are the important things in life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because the way they do it here in New York
Right.
is both sections start
Slow,
slow
and
and
you
both
work your
sections
way up.
gradually speed up.
Yes.
But in Nebraska, the polka is always fast.
Well, that makes sense. There's a lot of Polish people in Nebraska.
Well, there you go. That answers
I'm
that.
glad I became a DJ.
The gig I was on last week, we're doing a slamming disco set, top 40 set.
Right.
And the guitar player turns to me and you can't see me, audience, but he makes those moves like flapping your wings.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, what the heck is this? And he goes, and he makes the move again. And it turned out they wanted to do the chicken dance out of like,
That's how band leaders call the chicken dance.
Exactly.
They go
They
like
flap
that.
their
I
wings.
don't care. I love it. Okay, into da-da-da-da-da. Like, how did that happen?
That's fabulous.
I know.
I love it when crazy things happen like that. One of the best ones ever. This was at that place that was on the FDR, the Brookstone, the something.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm with this band and we're doing a wedding there, and the guests are getting crazier and crazier, and we're playing these Springsteen songs. People are jumping up and down. Suddenly, the bass player's shoving me, and I turn and I go, "What?" And he says, "Throw me out into the audience." I said, "What?" And he goes, pick me up, throw me out there, throw me." And I said, "You're joking." He says, "Hurry before it's too late." So we pick him up and we threw him out, and he's body surfing at the wedding with the bass.
Wow.
And like I said, I don't know his chords. So like we're reaching out, we unplug his bass, and he's body surfing over the guests.
Was he high?
No, he was just.
He was happy about it.
He was
though.
happy, and the guests are loving it because he was a very slight guy, So
I see.
they're like tossing him, and
Wow.
and then he's shouting, "Pull me back, pull me back!" And we
Like by the cord, right?
Exactly, and we pulled him back, and it was just like, wow.
Wow.
I've never seen anything
This
like
was
that.
a wedding?
This was a wedding.
Wow. Like a formal wedding?
Yeah.
Wow.
Bride and white and everything. In fact, what happened next was crazy.
Okay.
The bride specifically said she did not want a conga line. But some of the guests went into a conga line, and they're singing hot, 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 hot. So I start to sing hot, hot, hot.
Yeah.
I feel on fire, me soul's on fire. Feeling. Now all the guests are getting to a conga line. The bride crosses her arms and is saying, "Nope, nope, nope."
Well, how do you stop it?
And they're shaking her. Come on, come on. And she's like, "No, no, no." It's like she's stamping her feet. It's my wedding. No conga line. No.
I know exactly that moment, how you felt, because I did a lead once, and instead of singing, "And the bride cuts the cake," some brides still want that, how we used to like play the first dance as background. So, like, that's over. They bring the cake back, and then she comes over to the side of the stage. She's standing there with her hands on her hips. "You ruined my wedding! You ruined my wedding!" I was like, what? I said, "We'll bring the cake out. We'll do it again." No, it's too late. So, yeah.
And you ruined it because you sang The Bride Cuts the Cake?
Because I didn't.
Oh, because you didn't sing The Bride Cuts the Cake.
Because I sang her first dance, whatever the fuck that
Right,
was.
yeah.
Our podcast is rated E.
That's
We're
right.
allowed
We
to-
could say whatever the frick we want. Oh, my God.
Here's a
You
great
ruined my
upset
wedding.
story.
I'll never forget it.
This is
Good.
this is
Upsets
great.
are good. Let's hear your upset story.
So this is we're doing this gig upstate, and we're waiting on the keyboard player.
In New York upstate?
Yeah, New York
Okay.
upstate, and the band leader is getting crazier and crazier, and he's a high-strung guy anyway.
Right.
And he's just like, "Where is this guy? Where is this guy? Where is this guy?"
And how late is this guy already?
He ends up being 20 minutes late for the ceremony.
Oh.
And he comes in, and there was tons
And
of
this is the
traffic.
keyboard player.
This is the keyboard player who's supposed to be doing the ceremony.
Audience, you really need the keyboard player on the ceremony. Yeah.
And so he had this cart with like his amp and all the doodads and his keyboard on it, and he comes in rattling
To the ceremony room?
into the ceremony.
While
So
they're
he-
having the ceremony.
Right. Well, there's no ceremony yet because everybody's waiting for him. So he's wheeling his stuff in. While this is going on, there is a flautist who won't stop talking about this brand new microphone that he bought. And he's going on and on about the impedance levels and the cardioid shape and blah, blah, all this tech jargon about microphones.
Right.
So finally, the keyboard player goes into the shul to discover that the band leader is trying to calm the bride down. There's the keyboard player. The band leader turns to him and just starts to shout at him.
Right.
The keyboard player is having none of it. He shouts right back.
Okay.
The bride begins to cry.
no,
What's going on at my wedding? And while this is taking place,
Yes.
you hear...
The flute
The
player.
flautist showing off.
Flautist. Everybody freezes.
Was the flautist like providing a
Time's-
sound trap? Or
time
just
stopped.
showing how good the mic was?
Yeah, the band leader turns to him and says, what are you doing? And he says, I have to hear what the mic sounds like.
Right.
in the show."
Wow. Just completely oblivious. Wow. Oh my God.
I don't know if this is relating, but you know how we were talking about food before? So like a band is hungry and, I can't wait for the Vietnamese table to come out. The Vietnamese table. And I was the leader and they kept saying this over and over.
The Vietnamese table.
And then I announced it that way.
Oh no.
It was like the honeymooners when he kept saying Peloponnese
Exactly.
instead of
Vietnamese table.
And like everybody in the place, their jaw dropped. And then I tried to back up. And I mean the Vietnam. And see, I'm doing it again. You see what I mean? It's like it just happened. The Viennese table. The Viennese table.
The Viennese table. But I love that, the Vietnamese table.
Yeah, you never heard that?
No, I'd never heard.
Really? You're
Well,
kidding
because
me.
whenever there's sushi at the events, I just kind of pull up a chair to the sushi table
Oh, my
and
God.
my face.
Well, that's different. That's at the beginning. The Viennese table's at the end.
Exactly.
They didn't even have sushi in them when we started. I mean,
No.
we were lucky now may have
I
some
know,
good food
yeah.
there.
Yes, I should tell the audience. The buffet is at the cocktail hour. That's one thing. The Viennese table is all desserts. My favorite part. Sometimes when they're mean and they don't feed us, that's the only food we can get.
That's right.
And if it's like at a kosher affair, sometimes it tastes terrible because they use milk replaced non-dairy creamer.
yeah, soy. Everything is soy.
Not
based.
even. No.
Not
This
even.
was like the fake milk.
Ooh.
Yeah, that
They made
horrible
cakes
stuff.
like that, and then they used to put two cakes together at certain places when they had half a cake from one party and half a cake another.
Really? Oh, I never
joking.
saw that.
Wow.
So let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. What piece of advice would you give to 16-year-old Ricky Martinez at his first Battle of the Bands gig that he got paid $50 for? I mean, clearly you wouldn't say don't be a professional musician because you've had a great time being a professional.
Oh, yeah. It's been great.
But what piece of advice do you think he could have used the most then?
I would say practice more.
Really?
Oh, yes. Practice more
you're
than you
so
think
good.
you have to.
Oh, okay.
Always practice more.
All right.
And the other thing I would say is be aware that this is a business. If you make friends along the way, that's wonderful. But nobody's there to be your friend. Everyone's there to get the job done. Right. And especially the people that hire you. Right. And if they don't like what you're doing, they'll simply replace you with someone else. Right. And so it's important to go in with the right professional attitude right from the beginning.
Absolutely. Great advice to yourself and to anyone else listening that does this.
Yeah,
Right.
It is.
I mean, how many times, like the jazz guy is like, and he doesn't know the chords to any song.
Exactly.
Right.
Sorry, jazz guy. Wherever you are. Because I'm sure you're great at jazz.
You have a hard on for the jazz guy.
Well, because we had so many jokes.
I know.
We did this on another podcast.
Yeah.
The jazz guy says, if you give me a ride, I'll give you $2 for gas. That was
Wow.
the jazz
I never
guy.
heard that one.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
It was a John
you
Tenny
No,
know,
but it's true. It's true. If you have a professional attitude, you're halfway there
Right.
already.
Yeah, if you can just get along with people, it makes a big difference.
And if you listen.
Exactly. I realize I've been doing this for like 40 years.
All of us. Yeah. It's frightening how long we've been doing it.
Oh, God, yes.
I know.
But it's exciting that we can still do it.
Not only that,
Yeah.
I mean, this gig I was on Thursday, I knew some of the players. I never had worked with that band leader, never worked with that drummer. But I was just happy to be on a gig with good players, and the trumpet player had that kind of jaded attitude. He's going, it's hot, it's another gig. I said, frankly, if I can get on a bandstand with good players, I'm happy.
Yeah. Makes a big difference. It really, really does,
Well, just to be, like you said, just to still get to do it.
Sure. I remember doing a job with the office that's gone. Can I say?
Yeah.
Stephen Scott.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not around anymore. This must have been like 83 before I went to
Flying
the
Stain.
other one. And in fact, I remember exactly where we were. It was the Fair Lawn Jewish Center. And we did a bar mitzvah. Fine, no problem. We're packing up. And for the next party, a DJ was coming in. But back in those days...
Beginning of the end.
Exactly. The DJ had this big cart full of boxes of records.
Right.
And there were these light rigs
Yes.
that were folded down.
Right.
And they would upright them and turn the lights on and turn on the turntables and then play the records. So, but I'd never seen anything like that. So here comes this guy pushing this thing in past the bandstand. And I say to the band leader, "What's that?" And he says to me, "That's the end.
Wow. Wow.
The end of our business."
Wow.
I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You'll see."
Wow.
Who was the band leader that said
Oh,
that?
he's gone now, Kevin Robinson.
Oh, I don't know him. Do you?
That rings a bell for me. I never worked with him, though.
Was he a bass player?
No, he played guitar.
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
Wow.
I don't know
Yeah.
everybody from Stephen Scott.
So what's like, do you have one favorite all-time story that's sort of like the
Oh,
one?
you kidding?
Yeah, let me hear it.
One of my favorites.
Good.
One of my
that's it,
favorites.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So, wonderful
Wait,
band.
I just have to say, what an easy guest you are to interview.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I love this. This is
Yeah.
wonderful. Can I come back tomorrow?
Yeah, right? I
Be
know.
a
so
third
much-
co-host.
Hi, we're here with Willa, Marla, and Ricky.
And Ricky.
And we're interviewing. And we're going to do the
Smartless
the,
has 3 hosts.
That's true.
the chicken dance the way they do it in Nebraska.
That's right.
Exactly. The right way.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Exactly. So, okay. So we're at this, it's a bar mitzvah.
The Fairlawn Jewish.
No, that was the other one. No, this is now a different place.
Okay.
So, the band leader, sweetheart of a guy. I love the guy. He has a very heavy Israeli accent. He says, "Now they're going to play this tape. It's very special, so we don't play, we have to listen." And they play this recording, and apparently, I don't know how the family got it, but there was this big celebrity in Israel, and she made a specific tape for this kid.
Wow.
And the recording, you hear all this music playing, and she says, "Oh, we're very happy for you," whatever the kid's name was. And she says, "And now for all of you in the family and the audience, are you ready to party with us? All right, let's get going." And then we began to play. So now we're playing these songs. And then later on, they play the recording again. And when they get to, "Are you ready to party with us?" the female singer turns around, bends over, and points to her behind. "Are you ready to party with us?" And we fell off the stage. We couldn't believe it. And she did it so casually. And then she just turns around, stands up, and starts to sing
Wow.
again.
Wow.
And we're all quaking. We couldn't stop laughing. Oh, my God.
Marla, have you ever had that, like something happened and you were all laughing so hard you just couldn't play anymore?
I'm trying to remember. Offhand, I can't think of something like
I
that.
feel like it happened more in the old days than
Yes,
now.
that's true.
You know?
I have a great Bob Cranshaw story.
Oh, goody.
Okay.
Let's hear.
So,
Well,
Hang
before I actually it's not like a laughing out loud thing, but my old band leader, he's not around anymore. He used to take chicken off the kids' plates
What?
and eat it, and then he would leave it on the middle of the dance floor. So I thought that was worth mentioning.
That
And
is.
that made us laugh.
Oh, yeah.
that was
Yeah.
great.
So what about Bob?
Okay, so Bob Cranshaw is the bass player on this television show. And
Not Sesame Street?
no, this is not. This is
okay.
years ago. This
Oh,
goes
okay.
way back.
Before Sesame Street.
Right. So the host of this TV show, he was a little bit of a skirt chaser, or that was the rumor.
Right.
So at the time, the whole jet set scene was very popular, 60s.
Right.
And they had as guests 3 airline stewardesses.
Oh, my.
And so the band is sitting there, and the host is salivating over these women. And he says, "Oh, you're all so beautiful, so beautiful. And, well, we're careful about what we eat. We watch
Lordy.
our weight." And the host says, "Don't you wake up in the middle of the night and you want a piece of cheesecock?" And the whole band explodes. And the director starts to scream, "Play something! Play something! Play something!"
I have strawberry cheesecock, please.
All right. Which makes me want to tell the following story. So I know I've mentioned Cy Hogan before, and he would have us play, 2-hour sets with regularity. And it was at the Manhattan Beach Jewish Center.
Ah, yes. That, by the way,
Yes.
That's where the Mahitza fight was.
Oh, yeah. It's in Brooklyn. And it was a Sunday morning, which means that we'd already played Friday night and 2 gigs on Saturday, and we probably were working on 2 hours of sleep, you know.
Of course.
So Pat was the drummer, Pat Atkins, who's dearly departed now.
Lovely guy, lovely guy.
One of his nicknames was the Snapper because he could snap. So it's that same situation where there were 3 levels. He was on the riser on the top. My brother was on the gig, another guy was playing guitar. Anyway, Pat kept wanting a break, and Cy kept waving him off. And then Cy had to go talk to the bride, and he told us to keep playing. And that was it. Pat couldn't take it anymore. So he's talking like Popeye, you know, muttering, that motherfucker. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So he jumps off the bandstand. And Cy played clarinet and sax, right? He jumps off the bandstand, comes running around to the front of the stage. And Cy was on the ground level, and he turns his back, and the whole audience, you know, everyone's there in the room. He turns his back to the crowd. He opens his fly. He pulls out his cock, and he rubs it on the reed of the clarinet, of Cy's clarinet, right?
It's better than peeing in it, I guess.
And we are dying, and the guitar player is just sitting there with his mouth hanging on, going, I don't believe it. just like your guy had said, you got to be kidding me, man.
You kidding me, man?
Yeah, right. He's like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And then, you know, and Pat's muttering like Popeye the whole time. You know, and then he zips it up and he gets back to his drums. And now Cy comes back, right? And he picks up the clarinet.
Oh, no.
And he starts to play. And we were just gone. We couldn't function.
God.
We could not function.
Did he ever find out?
No, nobody was about to tell him what. Are you kidding?
No.
But we just couldn't function for a good 2 minutes. You know?
Oh, my God. You know, sometimes there was...
You're looking through your notes. Is there anything?
Of course. Actually, here's a very funny one. There's a lovely actress, Tova Feldshuh.
Oh, sure.
I remember her from the miniseries The Holocaust.
Right.
And I think back in those days, I had a kind of a mini crush on her.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is just about the time she begins to do Law and Order,
right.
the TV show.
Right.
So she's kind of now back into the public consciousness. So I'm doing this gig with a band, and we're at the New York Palace.
Right.
You know, the place on Madison Avenue.
The hotel.
Helmsley.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the
Helmsley
Helmsley
Palace.
Palace.
Yeah.
So we're at the Helmsley Palace. Now, at the Helmsley Palace, when the band takes a break, there's really nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. So we wound up just sort of sitting on the giant staircase.
Right.
So we're at the top of the staircase.
Right. I remember that's where we'd have to sit because there was nowhere to. Yeah.
There's no other room for the band to escape to.
They want the band to disappear with the audience. They don't want you to be there on your break.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So we're at the top of the staircase, and there's 15 of us.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of bodies. We're at the top. And the doors open, and this beautiful woman in this beautiful persimmon peach-colored dress comes out, and it's Tova Feldshuh.
Right.
And I jump up, Tova Feldshuh! And 14 voices go, who?
Oh.
And I run down the steps, and I go, oh, Miss Feldshuh,
Yeah.
please allow me to escort you to your table.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, that's wonderful. And she takes my arm, and I'm beaming. And I take her all the way to her seat, and I come back, and all the guys in the band look at me, and they go, what the hell? Who was that? And I said, Tova Feldshuh, a beautiful actress.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's a good place to end with a happy story. What?
She was in that Broadway show we saw.
That's right.
Right.
Which one?
Oh,
Yeah, she was.
Funny
Recently.
Girl.
Right, she was in Funny Girl. We saw
Oh,
Funny Girl.
really?
Yeah. She played the mother.
We said, Tova! Do you remember Ricky?
So, Ricky, just wanted to, you've been a delightful guest.
great.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll
Thank
see you
so much.
tomorrow.
Sunday. Yeah, we have a gig Sunday. Thank you so much for coming by. Don't forget, so your 2 new bands are the incredible AM, FM Time Machine, and the other one is
Section 12.
Section 12. Okay, and you can also always follow Ricky in Wondrous Stories. He's really a great drummer. It's a great band, and that's it. So may your gigs be plentiful.
May your GPS signal never falter.
Yes, and we are the gig hosts. So now it's time for Credit of the Week. Credit of the Week. Oh, we sound so good. All right. So I'd like to talk about I'm Going Nowhere, which was actually on British radio. It's a song I did with a group called The Working Class, which actually Warren was the unofficial drummer, and Tony Battaglia, and Rick Finch, who was the bass player and kind of musical genius behind Casey and the Sunshine Band. So I wrote this song on my 30th birthday when I was really suicidal and I thought my life was over because I was no longer officially young.
How old were you?
30. Yeah. It's pretty funny, right? And it's funny because people think it's a funny song, and I guess it is, but, you know, Woody Allen says comedy is tragedy plus time plus distance. So when I recorded it, we had a house in Queens, and we set up the studio in the basement, and what was the laundry room became the control room, and we would run outside, you know, because there was no window or anything. And it was great because the song, you'll hear it, it sounds like a carnival. Louis Cortellesi played soprano sax and Warren played drums. And I distinctly remember he was playing and I had the headphones on. I was dancing around him like a sailor while he was playing. It was just really so much fun to do. It actually did make the top 10 on British radio, which was killing me because I was here and not there, so I never got to hear it.
Yeah, there's nothing like hearing it on the radio when you're driving in your car.
Yeah, they would call and say, you know, and I'm like, oh, God, it killed me. But I really love this song. So we're going to put it up on SoundCloud, and here it is.
It's a great song.
They seem to know who they are. Couples look so complete, driving around in their fancy new cars. But I'm going nowhere, nowhere fast. I'm going nowhere.
To hear the full song, follow the link on the Gig Hose Facebook page. The Gig Hose podcast is produced and recorded by Marla Joe and Willa Basson, also known as The Gig Hose. Thanks to Jeremy Goldberg for opening voiceover.